Hello everyone, my name is Adiola. Join me every Tuesday at 1200 hours for Adiola's Compassionate Couch on all Harare City Center Church SDA platforms. Welcome once again to the Compassionate Couch. My name is Majita Adiola Ngwaera, and today with me is Nicole. Nicole, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Nicole, so that the viewers can just get a hint about who you are, can you just tell us just a tiny bit about yourself so that we can get started?
Okay, my name is Nicole. I am a mom of one. I have a beautiful 2-year-old baby girl.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, and I'm a depression survivor.
Oh, okay. When you say survivor, the question that first comes into my mind is, how did you find out that you had depression, or what the series of events that came?
There are a lot. But the time that I got the diagnosis, I had attempted to take my life. For as long as I remember, my life was sad and gloomy. I lost my mom when I was 8. So I don't know if that was when it started or that is what triggered it. But yeah, it was sad. Like constantly feeling sad, hopeless, lonely. Yeah.
You mentioned your mom, that the time that you lost your mom. Was there maybe, how did you lose your mom, if you're comfortable to say?
Yeah, of course, she she was sick. She had anemia. Yeah.
And do you remember what happened? You said you were 8 years old. Yes. Is it that you saw her dying, or you just heard that she had passed away? Is it when you can say that the gloominess or the sadness began?
Probably, yes. I didn't see her dying. She was in hospital. The morning that we were supposed to go and see her, I think it was about 30 minutes before we left home for the hospital. That's when we got the call that she had passed away. And I think because I was young, people didn't know how to talk to me about death. But I understood that she was gone. And the grieving process for me was lonely because even when I tried talking about it, the adults would just, try to make me feel happy, give me gifts and things like that. But we never really got to talk about the emotion and how I felt about the loss. Yeah.
So how did you feel about the loss, if you're comfortable, or you still remember how you felt about it?
Yeah, I still do. I felt guilty first and foremost. The day that she was taken home to the hospital, I wasn't there. So I felt that probably it was my fault. I should have been there. I should have been watching. But I was just 8. I had gone to play. Yeah, and um, the last days, even children aren't allowed in the hospital. But then I think they saw that those were her last days, and I was allowed to go to the hospital. And the picture of her then it wasn't good. Yeah.
So do you feel that like the picture that you saw is what stuck with you, or?
I think her absence was what stuck with me the most because as a girl, you need your mom. You go through stuff that you can't really talk to your dad about, and you you feel that emptiness. And worse at school, when people would be talking about their mothers, I wasn't sure how to talk about my mom. Like when people would ask me where my mom was, I would tell them that she's gone visiting somewhere. I'll just make up stories so that I wouldn't have to deal with. I felt it was shame at that time, the shame of loss. So, yeah, and that also I never really got to deal with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So now this brings me back to your family. I
Mhm.
see that your mom really did. I won't ask the the 8 years that she shared with your mom because clearly it shows that you were very close with your mother.
Yeah.
What about your family? You did mention how many were you? Are you the last born? Are you the first? Um, and your dad, how active was he in your life at that time?
From my mom, I was the second and last. My dad remarried after my mom passed away. I had an older brother who sadly passed away to suicide. He also suffered from depression for the longest time, but unfortunately, with him, I think from a male perspective, when you talk about these things, they think you're weak, and sometimes you are labeled, and people think you're just seeking attention. My dad, he worked a lot, so he was hardly home. He worked mostly out of town, and he was very quiet and reserved. He, I feel he didn't know how to deal with my emotions. Yeah, but I knew that he loved me, and like my aunts would always remind me that, you know what, even though he doesn't know how to express certain things, he loves you.
Okay,
Mhm.
and I'm seeing a sort of a trend here for the suicide. The issues that were, uh, let's say, tormenting you, are those the same issues that you feel your brother was also facing? Or maybe you have different issues? What is it that led you to say, I want to take my life?
Um, well, I don't know if they're the same for him. For him, he felt as if he was carrying the world on his shoulders.
Hmm.
He had three children, and he felt like he wasn't doing the best that a
Hmm.
dad should do. Um, I don't know what else could have driven him to that point. Now looking back, I thought I knew, but we probably were living two different lives.
Okay.
And there are certain things that he found hard to tell me because he saw me as the strict sister.
Okay.
You know, I expected and I demanded a lot from him. Yeah. So I think he didn't I don't think he didn't know how to talk about it, but from someone who's been in that place, you feel as if there's a cloud over your head. You
Hmm.
feel as if you can't take the next breath. It's literally painful. Like thinking is painful. Your heart feels heavy. You just want to end it. A lot of people think that people that commit suicide are selfish, but no, far from it.
Hmm.
You are in a zone where you don't know what to do. You don't know how to be the best, even for the next person.
Hmm.
You feel as if there's no hope at all. And looking back, I don't know if I was myself at that time.
Hmm.
The only thing that would be in my head was I need to rest. Not that I need to go away from people or things like that. I just need to rest. So, yeah.
So, um, how then did you? What are like the series of events that then came into play when you were thinking about suicide? How did you get help or manage to get help to remove those suicidal ideations?
Um, talking. For me, talking helped. I managed to um, get a therapist.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can't say that it's changed overnight, but it has helped. Talking has helped. I'm also on medication. It helps a lot. Um, the thoughts do come sometimes, and it's not always when something is happening. Even if I'm okay,
Mm-hmm.
it just it just comes. Like people ask, but you are working, you've got a beautiful child, you've got all these people around you that love you.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, all that falls away.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to rest. And other thing that I found that helps is doing what you love, being around people that encourage you, people that understand you. Yeah.
I hear you mentioning your child and the father of the child.
He's there, but we are no longer together. That relationship didn't work.
Would you be comfortable to share why it didn't work or the circumstances that led to it falling apart?
It's a series of events, issues of trust, issues of um, just not just not being understanding of one another. And I feel part of that could also have been my health. There are times when you don't want to do anything when you're depressed. You just want to lock yourself up in the room, close the curtains, switch off your phone. You just don't want to be present anywhere or doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand that. How can you be depressed? Why are you depressed? That's a question that I hear a lot. Why are you depressed? There's no why. My doctor says it's hormones. I don't know. But I think maybe it is because if the hormone regulating pills work, probably it is hormones. So he would want us to do certain things. I wouldn't be in the mood. He would want to talk about certain things I wouldn't want to. And said people are not like they're not the best people to be around. You end up being triggered by small things and you've got a temper. And yeah, so I think that because I remember there was a time that she would complain that all, always sick. um, I don't know how he felt saying that, but to me it was like I'm being blamed for this. Like I didn't apply for this, and I also suffer from migraines, which are terrible. That um, I think he just couldn't understand. Yeah.
And currently, how have you been moving in your social life in that aspect? How have you been handling these challenges that you say are challenges that may or may not have caused the breakup?
hmm
How have you been handling it currently?
I try to talk about how I'm feeling
Mm-hmm.
whenever I'm feeling down or I'm feeling irritable so
Mm-hmm.
that the next person knows. And if I need time out, I also say that, you know what, I think I'm not in the best zone right now, so I probably need some time out. Or just hanging around other people, doing other things that don't need too much energy out of me.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
And you're saying things that don't need too much energy out of you. So my next
Yeah,
question is: you have a 2 year old. That's a toddler, right?
yeah.
How then do you go about it in the times that you feel very low and that you can't do anything about it? Do you have social system, or which methods do you use for your child to feel the love that is there? Maybe when you're feeling sad, like you're
hmm
saying.
Believe it or not, I actually tell her. I tell her that Mama is not doing okay right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would you want us to do? Can we watch a cartoon, or do you want to draw? Do you want to play with your friend?
Mm-hmm.
And she seems to understand. She seems to see when I'm not okay. There are times that there was a day that I broke into tears when she just came and she was like, "Mama, are you okay?"
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't. And yeah. So I see God also in that.
Yes, exactly.
In that, like, since I was pregnant with her, I haven't attempted anything, and I've been doing much better. I haven't been in hospital. So I think this was God. God gave that to me to help me deal with some of
Okay, and I just consider, I do understand when you have something that you have
this.
that you say, this actually, it has been a solution that I've been looking for, where you show your love when you can, and someone that understands you when you're down as well, and that shows you the love and the comfort that you need at a particular time, because it's pure love.
Yeah,
You
true. True.
you actually see that when they come, sometimes maybe she just cuddles next to you,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel that someone actually truly cares. Maybe they're not even saying anything; they're just there.
Yeah.
Actually, do kind of feel it. Would you feel that there are other things maybe in your social life that might have caused triggers, or that you consider as triggers, or um, stress that you might have had that then leads to, or maybe aggravated,
Mm-hmm.
the depression?
Mm, yeah, probably perfectionism. Like, I wanted to always be the best. I thought my mother would want me to always be the best, so I tried to always be the best. And then when I failed, it would hit really hard. I guess I still have a bit of those tendencies now. I feel like I have to do the best that I can for myself and for my daughter. So yeah, there's that. And I don't know if I could consider myself a non-social person. I get tired easily of being around people, and yeah, that also.
I hope you're not tired already.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
um,
Mm-hmm.
is there anything else in your social life that you might want us to know about you? Maybe something that might have been.
Yes, something that I think also contributed to this whole issue. I wasn't born Adventist. I
Okay.
converted when I was 19. And then, oh, I was on fire at varsity. You know how it is.
Yeah,
You
I
are,
know, I know.
yeah. So, unfortunately, during week of prayer, there was a pastor who was visiting from out of the country, and then I was having those dreams, like weird dreams, where I was strangely attracted to girls.
Okay.
And then I decided to go and talk to the pastor about those. And then I was supposed to see him in the afternoon, but a lot of programs were changed for some reason. And then I ended up going to see him in the evening. I was given a drink. The next thing I remember was him on top of me. Yeah. So yeah, that um, that that shattered my life. Um, and then you're thinking about why would someone do this to me? I went there seeking for help, but I came back worse than I was, and it was hard because when I wanted to report that had happened, no one believed me from the conference. I had to, they made me call him and confront him while recording so that they would believe me. And years later, so I ended up speaking out, not only to I was in Botswana then, to the South Botswana conference, but to the general union. That's when he was fired and all sorts of things. And there was a campaign um, for other girls to speak out. At that time, it was hard speaking about it, but I'm glad I did because there are other girls that ended up also talking about how they were abused by the same men. Unfortunately, one of them committed suicide 3 years ago, but yeah. So that also, and thinking about how if I am to get into a relationship, I have this thing that I always have to talk about. I now have reservations when it comes to sex. I can't just, there's sometimes when I just shut down, and then having to explain that over and over again that you know what, when I was 19, I was raped, and so sex is a big issue to me. It's hard. So I also think that also aggravated the depression to some extent.
So the time that you're 19, had it already started, the depression,
I
or
think
it
I
was
think so.
diagnosed?
No, well, it wasn't diagnosed then. I was diagnosed when I was 25.
Okay.
Yeah. Then it was just, I remember when I was in high school, I don't remember exactly what had happened or if anything had happened, but I overdosed on aspirin. Yeah. Well, a painkiller. They don't do anything. So not that anyone should do that,
Yes.
but yeah, that was my first attempt.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then it went unnoticed for a while.
I was very quiet.
Okay.
So whether I was okay or I was not okay, no one would have seen.
And do you feel that this might have also caused the breakup that we talked about earlier with your then husband?
Probably. It's very possible, yeah.
Okay. Um, so I hear you mentioned also your religious life, and I am glad that you didn't put the sins of one person. I
Oh,
guess the
I
whole.
almost did. There was, from, I think there was a time I spent like 3 years not attending church at all. At all. Yeah.
So what is it that then made you decide to say, this church is the right church, and I need to come back?
Um, the first time that I came, I believed that this was the right church.
Yes.
It was the first church that I felt at home, and I felt that there was sound doctrine, like everything has scripture to explain it. Yeah. So when I came back, it was early this year when we had that youth outing.
In Kumusha.
No, here.
Oh, here. Ah,
I think it was
okay.
in March, April. I don't remember when it was, but yeah, it was here. There was a tent behind it.
Oh yes, okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
you remember.
yes, I remember.
Yeah, that was when I came back to church, and yeah, it feels good to be back home.
I'm happy that you're now back home and you can freely talk about your story, because I can see that there are a lot of things that would then cause someone to say, you would have given up, right? Because with depression, like you're saying, there's a number of times that you have chosen to say, I want to take my life, but you have come back. Would you think that you're coming back, there might have been a reason for you coming back? Do you believe, not putting pressure on yourself, but sometimes you need to have something that motivates you? Um,
Well, then I just needed to come back to church. I missed that. I missed singing. But then today, so yesterday we were in Borodale, and then Pastor Nari mentioned about how sometimes we ask certain things from God. We ask Him to use us, but then when He gives us the opportunity to do so, we run away. So when I got the call this morning, I I prayed. I asked God, is this something that you want me to do? I had no idea what I was going to talk about. And then I had to go to work, and I was like, if this is something that you want of me, let it be after work. And here I am. So, yeah.
and, yeah.
Where you lead, they'll go.
Yes, that's actually one of the statements that I actually wanted to make. And I actually also wanted to ask you in
Mm-hmm.
terms of your work, right? Has it been affected by any way? Are there any challenges that you see or that you face um, because of this?
Yes, yes.
Mhm,
A lot. There are times when I don't want to be at work,
mhm,
and then there are times when I can't be at work.
mhm,
So you can't go about explaining to people that, you know what, guys, I suffer from depression, because people don't understand. And there's this stigma that comes with mental health issues. So you are labeled, oh, the sick one, you know, oh, she's sick again, she can't come to work, oh, she's sick again, she can't do this. It hurts because I'm suffering and I need help. But at the same time, I can't disclose what it is that's going on.
mhm.
And you have to also deal with that.
So, how have you been coping at work? What are the solutions that you have seen that work for you at work to manage this?
Praying throughout the day
Mhm,
for strength, listening to music when I can,
mhm.
talking to people like over the phone. If I'm feeling I'm overwhelmed, I just go to the bathroom, I call someone, you know what, this is what's going on. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm happy that one thing that I see that keeps coming out is how you have put God as the center of your life. Um,
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because here is a man of God who abuses you just after the Sabbath. And then you're thinking, okay, what did I do wrong? Why? You know, what kind of God are you? I went to your servant wanting help, and then I come back like this. There's this um, pastor's wife, she's in the States. Her name is also Nicole. She was one of the people that helped me so much to be able to talk about this, to be able to be where I am now.
mhm,
And the unfortunate thing is that she also went through that.
mhm,
She was raped by her grandfather.
mhm,
So she'll tell me that sometimes God lets us walk through a certain path so that He comforts us. And that's the same comfort that He would have given us, we might also give to other people. So that's something that I would, when I felt like questioning God about the certain circumstances that I've been through, I'll be reminded of the people that were there for me and people that stood with me while I was in that valley. So yeah, probably this is so that I can hold someone's hand and be like, you know what, we gotta do this.
Uh,
Yeah.
now that you're mentioning that, which methods did you use? I can see that you talked to people, you had
Mm-hmm.
friends. Um, are there any other methods that you'd say you also went on medication and you accepted the fact that you know what, this
Mm-hmm.
is what it is, and I have to move on, right, from
Mm-hmm.
this point? I have accepted Christ as my personal savior. If someone abused office, that does not mean that is what the organization or the church is like. That is not the Christ, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is what I am getting. Is there something that we might have missed maybe in your journey of um, self-awareness as well?
It's a process. You don't just wake up and understand that, you know what, it's okay if this happens. No. And even in that journey to understanding, there are ups and downs. There are days when I'm like, you know what, I'm fine. And then there are days when you're down and under and it just doesn't make sense, you know. And oh, I also didn't mention that my dad, I didn't tell my dad because when I came home from school that holiday, he wasn't feeling well. So my dad died without knowing that this happened to me. And I needed him to know, but I couldn't. I had to be selfless because he was also suffering what he was suffering. And So it was hard. It was. So if there's anyone going through this, don't beat yourself up if you wake up feeling that, you know what, I'm not okay. It's okay not to be okay, because it's not an overnight thing that you just wake up and you're like, you know what, this happened, I'm okay. No. I also still have rough days where I just can't. I ask myself, but really, why me? You know, this is something that happened 10 years ago, but it still beats me to this day. So yeah, I guess it makes us long for heaven more. But you know what, those things on earth, let's soldier on so that we go home.
Exactly. And I love the fact that you're mentioning that we have to soldier on. I was talking to one of the elders, actually some of the elders recently, and we're talking about issues like this where you come to a point where you're depressed, you're alone, you're anxious, you're alone, or you might have people at home, but they don't know how to handle that particular problem that is happening in your life. And I'm actually quite happy that there are people with a vision and there are people who have understood that we need to be able to talk about these issues, right? So they've come up with a solution because there's a center of hope, right? Yes, where they're saying that you can come with your problems, right? We have people that can help you. I always mention to people that I'm available. We have other people who are also willing to come through and be able to help so that we can be able to soldier on together. So very soon there'll be, and the center will also include a place where people can actually then come and see people in person, someone who can help them, more like a support system that you're trying to build up for other people as well. And also to create a line where people can also come, because the difficulties about talking with one-on-one with someone or just having a discussion with one person also means that there are also other people who are struggling or who are facing the same challenges, but we who also need the help. And that's one of the things that I also want to tell you, that if ever there's a time that you feel that you need help, the church is open, and we we have been trying to help people and to listen as well. I think what you need is listen and action, to people who listen and people who action what they've heard. And that is what we are trying to do at this moment. Do you have any parting words or?
Yes, I would like people to know that depression is real. Depression is a disease, it's an illness. People don't have to suffer in silence. You need to speak out. And God is there above all else. Yes, God is there. You might not feel His presence, but always know that He's there and He's always ready to listen and to give you a helping hand.
Thank you so much, Nicole. And thank you so much for joining us. This has been the Compassionate Couch, and please join us next week. Hello, everyone. My name is Adiola. Join me every Tuesday at 1200 hours for Adiola's Compassionate Couch on all Harare City Center Church SDA platforms.